Hello, so it's the 4th of November 2019 and I'm watching ongoing BBC Parliament coverage of the Speakership election. Just show you a little clip there. As you can see, they're analysing it a lot about constitutional issues. Now, a few things to say. If something sort of eventful happens, like it goes to the chamber or something, I may have to cut this out, or at least follow it as I'm speaking. I'm using new format today, so hopefully it will be, the video quality will be okay. I don't know what it'll be like yet, to be totally honest. Yeah, so the Speakership election, this is part of a very old British political tradition, and the history of the Speakership is somewhat complex. If we look at the Kingdom of England preceding the Kingdom of Great Britain in 1707, prior to 1377, which I believe was the Merciless Parliament, and you know, if I make any constitutional errors here, that's my mistake. The term Speaker was not really formalised, a bit like Prime Minister, it only became formalised later on. So they were known as parlors and prolocutors, fake it pronouncing that correctly. And the first English Parliament of 1258, Peter de Montfort, is listed as the first presiding officer of that Parliament. But generally speaking, we consider the first Speaker in the modern sense, or close to the modern sense, as Sir Thomas Hungerford, who presided from January to March 1377 in that Parliament of Edward III. And since then, probably several hundred men, and it is overwhelmingly men with one exception, have held the post. No fewer than 7 speakers have lost their heads, including Sir Thomas More, and that's often kind of gallows humour today, that why would anyone want to be Speaker? Or it's also thought to tie to the tradition of literally dragging the Speaker to his chair, because it's said to be, they're supposed to be reluctant to take it, because there was at least one Speaker that didn't want to refuse, or didn't want to serve in the role, and the King, don't know which King off the top of my head, pressured him to do so. So metaphorically, a big part of the ceremony is they are dragged, usually by a few members around them, and it's all a bit tongue-in-cheek today, but it's that's where the tradition comes from, because they're supposed to be reluctant to take the role. There have, of course, been some very famous incidents in the chamber when Charles I came in and tried to arrest the Five, which was one of the preludes to the English Civil Wars, and the Speaker famously took a robust stand against the King then, and off the top of my head, that Speaker was, just looking at the list here, William Lemphill, I believe. Yes, William Lemphill. So we get the Kingdom of England then getting into the British House of Commons. The longest serving Speaker on record was Arthur Onslow, an incredible 33 years, from 1728 to 1761, a highly respected Speaker, and he's thought to have paved the way for much of the form of today's Speakership. Arthur Onslow, MP for Surrey, and he served an incredible 33 years. Given that some of the early speakers only served a few months, that's astonishing. At least 2 Prime Ministers served as Speaker. Sir Spencer Compton, who was the Earl of Wilmington, our second Prime Minister, served in the Speakership from 1715 to 1727, quite a lengthy period as well. And Henry Addington also served in that capacity. William Grenville, I've just noticed, Baron Grenville also served, so at least 3 Prime Ministers, Henry Addington, Lord Grenville and Lord Wilmington. Getting into the modern era, some of the, now they're looking at the chamber now, so I may wrap this up very soon and maybe going for a vote. Yeah, maybe going for a vote. I may break this into 2 actually. So let's call this the constitutional part. The second part I'll speak about today's election, Bercow's tenure. I don't want to miss anything, so I'll just say this, the role of Speaker is enormously important. I'm going to round this up. Ken Clark is speaking, the Father of the House.